I'm Timmy Cuamba. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm fighting tonight.
I'm Demetri, the Bees Miller, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, through Atlanta, Georgia.
I just know he likes to strike a lot, swings very wild, and we're ready for any type of scenario for this fight, so we'll come out victorious no matter what.
For me to come away with the win, I know I have to stay focused, I have to stay calm, and just do a great job of picking my shots.
Do whatever it takes. I could wrestle, I could strike, I could do anything, so I'm ready for any type of fight.
To all my fans out there watching, I hope I can bring y'all another exciting fight. Something quick, so don't blink. You never know, it could be over with in a matter of seconds.
All I gotta say is be ready, because I know I can go a strong 15 minutes. Doesn't matter how many rounds we go.
So co-main event time is here, it is now, and we will see Twilight Timothy Cuamba take on the Beast, Demetri Miller. Now, Frank, I gave you a little whet your appetite with this guy earlier on today. His last two fights combined a total of 21 seconds. Finished one fight in 7 seconds, one fight in 14 seconds. He's nicknamed the Beast for a reason. He's aggressive, he's hard, he's full of power, and he reckons he's just going to be too much for Timmy tonight.
Yeah, very impressive mindset. Those two wins in a row that came like that came off of having a debut that he lost. That is hard mentally. When you go out there for your very first fight and you come up short, a lot of people back down from that. How many people go out there and go, I'm gonna try something new, I'm gonna put myself out there, I'm gonna sacrifice time, energy, and money, and I'm gonna go out there, and then you come up short. You're not rewarded. It's like, I'm gonna invest in this business, and it fails. Most people back down, and they are cowards. We stray away from that kind of adversity, especially when there's no affirmation for our hard work and our effort. Here he comes back and then hammers off. Now those two wins are impressive, not only because of how fast they were and destructive, but it shows you the kind of mindset that he had to come going out there. That is hard to walk into the cage knowing you're 0-1. It's hard to train for a fight going, hey, I trained really hard for this first one, and then I came up short. His mentality is phenomenal.
So next up, we welcome this man towards the Freedom Fight Night cage, Timmy Cuamba, Twilight Timmy. And you see that Dewey behind him. And we spoke to this guy yesterday, and look, he's a young man, Frank. He's a young man who is absolutely dedicated, all in on this sport, this life of mixed martial arts. And when we spoke to him, it was the maturity about how he talked about fighting, how he talked about preparation, even how he talked about coming off the back of his first ever loss last time, the lessons he's learned from that. I mean, when you have got young fighters, especially, I mean, let's be honest, he's an absolute monster in there. He's got all the skills. He's a superstar in the making. He's so grounded. Yes. That is something that, you've got to look around, the people around him, you've got to be proud of what they've done to build the young man that he is.
Because he's truly being a martial artist. It's all about identity and who you want to be and what you want to be, and it gives you your purpose and your direction. And that's why we know that there's phonies in the world. There are some people that want to be fighters because they want to be able to walk into the club afterwards and tell everybody, oh, look at my ears, and they want to brag that they're this fighter. But you're not. You're not really a fighter. You just want to impersonate one. You like all the glory, but you're not willing to put in the hard work. You're not going to really make the sacrifices. And Cuamba is completely the guy that is actually, Timothy is actually a warrior, actually a fighter. Regardless of what outcome comes, he's not looking for, any kind of notoriety, like, oh, you're that guy. No, I'm that guy because what I do at night, when I wake up in the morning, when he stares himself in the mirror, this guy is truly a real-life warrior.
So we're set and ready for this battle. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape. And as you see there, slight experience advantage on the side there of Timothy Cuamba. Height and reach there, slightly on the side of Demetri Miller. This featherweight contest is set and ready. Let's hand it to Lupe Contreras.
Miami, Florida, it is the inaugural Freedom Fight Night. Proudly presented to you by HJR Global Services, Real America's Voice, Factum Financial, Let'sGoBrandon.com, and streaming live and exclusively on Cloud Hub. This is our co-main event of the evening, 3 rounds in the featherweight division. Our judges scoring at ringside are Vicente Rodriguez, Richard Green Jr., and Lorenzo Toledo. At the sound of the bell, the man in charge of the cage, referee Alan Abeles. Presenting first, the fighter standing in the blue corner and representing Team Rampage. He enters wearing black and weighed in at an official 145 3/4 pounds. In his 4th bout as a pro, with a record of 2 victories against 1 lone defeat. Fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, Demetri, the Beast Miller. Across the cage in the red corner, wearing black with white trim and representing Team Tito. He weighed in at 146 pounds. He enters the cage in his 5th bout as a professional with 3 victories against 1 lone defeat. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Twilight Timmy Cuamba.
So we are ready for this featherweight contest. Cage door is closed. We have Timothy Cuamba in the red corner taking on Demetri Miller. He is in the blue corner. The Beast steps in. His last 2 fights have not lasted more than 21 seconds. But we heard from Timothy Cuamba there. We heard that Timothy just said, I need to stay disciplined, Frank. I just need to be on point, fully concentrating because they respect the hands.
Yeah, and right now we're actually, sorry guys, you can't see what's going on, a little bit of exchange here, Brian. We're bringing in Madison Cawthorn. He's going to sit here and kind of enjoy the fights with us. We got him some headgear. We're giving him, wow, I can't, have you ever sat down?
Is he taking some of my weights? That's all I want to know.
I've never seen it. Most guys don't do that at all.
Well, you know, you guys already pay my salary, but I'm here to now take your jobs.
I love it.
Absolutely. Look, and this is a hell of a fight to join us on. Both of these are athletes on the ascendancy. Timothy Cuamba now with the grip, looking for the takedown. Demetri Miller trying to avoid that. And this is the bread and butter. Both of them come from a wrestling background.
Yeah, Cuamba there doing a good job on top. He's sitting over the leg. He's keeping behind the hips. Back on top, forward spine pressure. He looked like he was looking for that hook to throw in on Miller.
This has already lasted more than his last 2 fights combined.
Honestly, Miller's lucky that they're grappling right now. The Muay Thai skills that Cuamba has with just his striking is something to be respected.
Yeah, Cuamba actually trains in Vegas there, and so I've seen him move around and work. And his coach is somebody I've actually sparred with. We're all getting old. I'm like, oh man, that was one of my sparring partners. He's not coaching in the corner.
The evolution of the sport. I'd still watch those rounds though, Frank, if you were to go at it again.
Not too
100%. 100%.
And obviously, Madison, are you a big fan of the fight? I mean, you catch a lot of fights. I mean,
huge fan of fights. I mean, right now, I'd say my favorite active fighter is probably Thug Rose.
Rose Namajunas, yeah, without doubt.
Which is incredible because I mean, you know, we just had these 2 ladies in the ring this last fight, and that was to me the best fight so far.
We're all going to lean your way too. We agree with you.
They went to war.
Yeah, the first decision ended up being our best fight so far, which, I mean, that was a hard press to have as far as our opening fight. Wow, what a lift.
What a
takedown, yeah, from Cuamba. Keeping the pressure, piling it on. And you talked to me about this, Frank, before when we talked about the fact that Demetri has finished fights so quickly. This is almost new territory for him, right? This is deep water early on.
What I think is incredible, and you just saw his functional strength on display right there. I mean, you know, what you do in the gym translates directly to the octagon. I mean, you know, he's doing, that was a basic lift, but he just used it as a very violent attack.
That's great that you see that. A lot of guys don't. They see it and they go lifting. They go, how do you pick someone up? I'm like, well, if it was a suitcase, your weights, like use your weight training to mimic your body movement and how to apply it and accentuate what you do in fighting. And there you see, converting back over another lift. But his hips are in, forward pressure. He's not lifting with his back or his legs out far away. So you're right, absolutely calling that out. That is structurally a good lift. If he was doing a Zercher squat or any kind of holding a sandbag, you would keep his hips in and lift him up.
Exactly. Oh, a solid knee back to the hamstring.
Look at that, working into that.
That leg
right
is going to
thigh.
be moving slowly for the rest of this fight.
Does Cuamba keep going down between the legs and trying to grab wrist control there?
He's feeding his hands around. You can see that right hand working through. And you can see the left just popping down the side as well.
I keep seeing him do something I can't quite.
I think it's actually because Demetri is keeping that wrist control himself.
Good turn by Miller.
Look at that. Great, but look at the elevation. Drive coming from Cuamba. Big, big takedown.
And he looked like he was trying to take him to a corner, just misguided where he was and hit him so hard he ripped the tape off the
That's right,
cage.
look at that. We'll bill him.
Yeah, great wrist control. See how Cuamba's holding that left wrist of Miller. Miller's trying to get up. He's covering. Yeah, he did. He got his hips in, and now let's see. But see, Miller needs to get hips away. I always tell people, if you want to know how a move works, well, how to defeat a move, well, how does it work? Well, you're going to pick your hips into somebody and lift them. Like, all right, well, then get their hips away from you. Get your hips away. So create separation so you can deconstruct the movement that they're trying. Right now, Miller, because he's leaning over at the waist, his hips are there for Cuamba just to drive in and elevate.
And you can tell Cuamba's in his element right now. Obviously not going this long into a fight, but I mean, he's been grappling since he was 8 years old.
Yeah, exactly. This innate in him, this drive, this grind. And look at the elevation once again. Another 3 times.
And I know earlier tonight we talked about how a takedown itself doesn't score points anymore. It's what you do with it. Those takedowns do score. High elevation, lifting a guy up and mat returning him like that, and then finishing here in that great position. Definitely, I think this first round is going there for Cuamba.
Yeah, strong.
Wow, Cuamba doesn't even look winded. I mean, you can tell he has been putting the work in for his cardio. That boy has an engine.
So we'll look at the replays. But while we do that, Madison, I just want to ask you about being at this sort of event, seeing this sort of platform for your cause, for something you feel very strongly about. What do you think about the tying up these two worlds and trying to make the most of them?
Well, you know what? My theory is, so many people in Washington, D.C., that they always want to chase what they call middle ground voters. And so they cheapen their platforms on both sides. But in my theory, I believe there are so many people that don't come out to vote because they don't actually feel like their vote matters. Because the elites in Washington, they don't represent our linemen, they don't represent our welders, our mechanics, people with tattoos who might cuss a little bit and like drinking on the weekends. That's who I'm there to fight for, the normal Americans who are raising our families.
I like that so much. And Frank, I mean, you've been in awe of just the number of names, the celebrities that have joined us for this.
And that's why, I mean, we talked about earlier on a little break, and I don't know if you could hear us because we were on air, Madison, but I was saying that, Harrison was just impressed that, getting the two worlds across. And I'm like, no, I actually think our two worlds actually exist. I think we just train not to talk politics, not to talk. But I think a lot of people in this industry, in the fight world, fight fans, are more conservative and leaning right because the values actually line up on what it takes.
Well, our founding values were one of, self-government and really being reliant on yourself. And this is the perfect example of that. You are putting yourself in a ring with no one there to help you. It's you against the world. And that's what America's built on.
And we've just seen some huge shots coming in from the beast, Demetri Miller, at the start of this round. But once again, Cuamba finds a way to the back. Really reacts brilliantly to that pressure.
I think Cuamba's just liking the sound of slamming this guy on the mat.
I think
great technique on his mat returns. As we say, it's a mat return. The guy stands up, you jump on his hips from behind, and you lift from there.
Another.
Well, now he stepped over the ankle. See how he's inside? That's going to make it much harder for Miller to get to his feet at first. So stepping into half guard, I know in jiu-jitsu we tell people, pass the guard. Actually, wrestling has that aspect right. Step into the half guard when it's MMA because it's actually called a Turk in wrestling. If I can trap your legs with my legs from the top position, it makes it harder for you to rotate to a referee or turtle position, and then you're one step closer to standing up. If I can keep you on your back by staying in your half guard, shutting it down. So that's why I tell people, you get take down, step into the half guard, give them the leg to go ahead and establish what we call in wrestling, it would be a Turk. It's a good way to control someone with your legs, which then frees up your hands so you can do damage with strikes and submissions.
What I'm loving seeing here is that Cuamba's not taking anything for granted. Every opportunity he gets, he tries to get a little edge. I mean, you see him stand up, he hooks the leg instantly, or exactly moving into the Turk, stepping over the leg, trapping the ankle. He's always working to set up that move. But you have to give it to Miller. I mean, he's been being thrown around, but he is not
staying resilient. No, that's the thing that we've seen tonight all night long. It's been a great story. Is that even when guys here are not successful at the beginning of the situation of the fight, they're not backing down. I mean, we saw it in the first round. It was a 10-8 round, and all of a sudden flips around for the other fighter. And here, same thing. Miller, even though he's not doing well as far as Cuamba's controlling and dictating this fight so far, he's not showing any indications that he's looking for a way out. He's trying to build himself back up, and I guarantee you when the opportunity arises, he's going to try to take advantage of it.
And when you talk about wrestling as a skill set, both come from that background. It's something that we don't have in England. We don't have a wrestling program. We play other sports. But I think wrestling is part of learning about yourself, discipline. And you can see it instills that no quit. It's the hardest of all the disciplines, right?
And that's why I tell people, when parents ask me, they see my success of my children, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, make them wrestle. My son's right now, my son just now recently, his freshman year, decided that he liked wrestling. You know, he became a state champ, but he loves football. But I'm like, you can play football, that's great, but you gotta wrestle.
Yeah.
I don't care. And that's coming from me. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, and I really wish I would have forced myself to learn wrestling. I learned it now as I've gotten older. But wrestling for your kids is the greatest thing I think you can put them in sport-wise, because, and see now here you see that Cuamba's using that leg as a Turk. See how he's trapping the leg of Miller by wrapping his legs top? If he were to pass right now, yeah, it's points for jiu-jitsu, but it's not fighting. That's why people go, you're a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm like, I fight MMA. It's a different sport on the ground. I'm sorry, guys. There are different incentives. I don't want you to roll to your stomach and get up. Harder for me to submit you and control you. If I keep you on your back, you're on the ground, I can beat you up and still look for submissions.
And with Cuamba, now having that Turk again, it's just one more element that Miller's going to have to overcome to get to his feet.
He's one more level away. Absolutely, it's a layer.
And now Cuamba's just getting to focus on those headshots and the hammer fists he's sending. When you're talking about making your children wrestle, a story from my childhood is in my house. We used to call wrestling boom booming, and there was a lot of rules around it. But you had the right in my house. I grew up with a brother and had my dad, and my mom was incredible, always encouraged it. But you had the right, if you were in a disagreement with either my dad or my brother, and you couldn't figure out who was clearly right.
Trial by combat wrestling.
You had the right to challenge them to a duel.
I love that.
And then it was in God's hands after that.
I love that.
That's amazing. I had an Irish Catholic mother, so the wooden spoon solved all the issues in our house.
What's funny though? I mean, I can go off on a crazy tangent here later, but I'll tell you later after the show. That I think that dueling and those kind of trial by combat, that's where manners come from. That's where people actually act
respect.
I think that our society, because you're not allowed to.
So if that kick had landed, that would have been, he's trying to return fire with fire.
But look at that.
You see him my time.
And you play it out. Madison, geez, Cuamba's conditioning for enforcing the wrestling. Phenomenal shape, man.
Incredible.
I mean, Miller's been on the defense, and he's breathing harder.
Wow, deep breaths from Miller as he goes back to his corner. A huge round once again for Timmy Cuamba. Super impressive. And Madison, once again, I'm going to call on you. Impressed by not just Cuamba and his skills and what he's laying on Miller, but also Miller's grit and grind. He's still in this. There's no quit in his eyes or minds.
And Miller is not backing down whatsoever. But just to touch on a point you were talking about earlier, I think as our country has become and our society around the world has become, more civilized, more where you're never worried about a guy punching you in the face. I actually think that our country's become more polarized and divided on that. Because if you say something
There's no
dumb,
accountability.
Exactly. You might get punched in the face.
Right.
But now we live in a culture that says, my daddy's going to sue you.
Yep.
I mean,
and in fact, on the opposite, if you're the person that says something dumb and someone checks you for it, the person who checks you for it is going to be the one who's going to get in trouble with the law.
Exactly.
And so that's the behavior now that we establish a bunch of people that act obnoxiously and rude and have no ability to be a man because there's no accountability. They don't have to worry about, if you touch me, I'm going to sue you or you're going to go to jail.
Exactly. I love seeing the respect between these two fighters. He's already slammed Miller on the ground about 6 times now, but they're still coming out touching gloves, ready to fight.
Touch, gloves, nothing but respect. Cuamba, red corner, Miller, blue corner. 5 minutes potentially for Miller to try and turn this around. Again, Cuamba deep and low on this attack.
His hands are connected. He's going to succeed on this again. You're not going to drop his knee. Wow.
They slipped. I think the sweat played a part.
You know what? I usually try not to say a move's going to be successful. unless I'm, because there's always a chance. That grip below the butt like that with a double, the Khabib-style double leg takedown, very rarely fails. That's, good job on Miller to still have the hip pressure to pull his legs, arms up to break the grip in. You're right, a little bit of sweat also this late in the fight.
Oh, body shots coming from Cuamba to Miller. Left rib cage.
And as it stands, we have 4 minutes, 12 seconds
nice.
left.
Nice knee to the sternum.
Yeah. Those knees don't have to be hard. You don't have to try hard. Just touch people with knees, and they just disrupt your breathing and just.
Oh! Firing shots from Miller. He has no give up. He has no quit in his body.
No, and it looked like he caught Cuamba a little bit there.
Yeah, he could have. I don't know if Cuamba was throwing an elbow and dropping shots. Oh, but he almost ran into that knee. Another thing at home is Cuamba, with his arm closest on the leg, is doing a phenomenal job. See where his left arm goes elbow deep?
Hammer fist coming down.
Look at Miller still in the fight. Like, he is. If you're a Miller fan, no reason to leave the building. This isn't over with, guys.
Not at all. The beast is still dangerous. And we saw that just with that little exchange off the cage.
This fight got a little bit more interesting.
And maybe about 45 seconds ago, just to touch on, that those mechanics of using your body. You saw as soon as Cuamba had that first takedown, instantly Miller pivoted his hips, and you just saw how Cuamba was thrown through the air and was able to regain his legs.
He's got that underhook. It's kind of actually holding him down and reaching over. That's not the best idea for him right now. It's kind of he can grab the guillotine there if he reaches over the head, Miller can, but it also keeps you from getting up. It's kind of wrestling one-on-one, like don't reach around and go for the head. Now, if you can choke the person, you have a nice deep guillotine by all means. But at this point also too, like it'd be better for him to reach over and cross grip the wrist and start working his way up by first freeing those legs.
With Miller having his right arm free, it looks like he's playing defense from those headshots, but I would love to see him just start working the ribs. That opportunity has passed.
Yeah, now Miller slowly back to his feet, but still the weight.
Yeah, he's blocking the hand well. Look, now he needs to get his arm across. But see there, he made a choice. That's what makes MMA grappling so interesting. If it was a pure wrestling match, he would have drove his elbow all the way back and cut the waist, right? But because all of a sudden Cuamba went to punch him in the face, he brought his elbow up to protect his head. And then now he exposed his ribs. So it makes interesting so much the facet of once you add strikes, the grappling changes. It's a different style. People make different choices, and there's a different way of applying your moves.
And again, once again, Cuamba elevates and gets Demetri down to the mat.
And fill me in on my ignorance, but earlier I believe we touched on it. When you're getting these big elevation drops, these are counting for points in the judge's eyes, correct?
The first criteria in judging is damage, right? So if you're doing damage. So if I just blast you with a double and get on top, no, it used to be that we used to go, oh, well, you're winning the fight now, you took a takedown. But now, that's why I say those takedowns do actually count more towards your score in the eyes of the judges, because picking someone up and slamming them down is doing damage. It knocks the wind out of you, not completely, but it does startle you, and it can end the fight. You're essentially slamming somebody.
Interrupting your breathing. I mean, you look at these two warriors. I mean, their bodies are so lean. They're glistening with sweat.
Nice inside jump. He's going for it. Nice.
Oh, but you don't. The conditioning on both these guys is incredible.
Yeah, the technique.
No, you're right. Both are in great shape. Look.
Yeah, just the technique at this stage of the fight, which has been a grueling 1 minute left. And what makes this interesting as well, if it goes the way of Cuamba, which surely it must.
The final fight's going to decide.
The final fight will decide. If this goes to a decision, that's 13 points apiece.
Yeah, because if Miller was able to pull this off right now, even a decision win for Miller would give them a 6-point lead, and Team Ortiz would have no way of coming back from it. Rampage would have a 6-point lead going into the final match. But now it's looking, obviously, I mean, it would be an atrocity. Decision-wise, this goes to decision. It's going to be in Cuamba, and we have a 13-13 tie match.
All to be settled.
Now, even if Cuamba right now were to go ahead and get the knockout, they're only going to be up by 2. The final fight would make it come down.
Yeah.
Even a decision win, they're not a far enough ahead that even a finish would solidify for Ortiz's team enough of a lead.
3 rounds in the books. Wow.
There you go. Nice war. Hey, Madison was... Hey, so much calling shots and fights for you. It was awesome having you.
A pleasure. An honor to meet you, my friend.
Next time we do this, we'll do it again. Maybe have him more up here.
Hey,
awesome,
it's an honor,
You're
guys.
very knowledgeable in this. I was very impressed.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
See y'all
I'll
later.
just go get the drinks next time. You two will be fine.
There you go. Come on, I got my British buddy hanging out with me. Come on.
So we are ready to find out who took this one. This will go to the judges. So we will have a decision Again, 3 points.
There was the different level changes and drops there. That was one of the more dangerous attempts there for Miller as far as for Cuamba as he took that shot. He drove into the roundhouse there, the lead shot leg of Miller. But there you used to see the tenacity of Miller, constantly trying to fight back. He never once quit, never once, you see fights where guys realize they're not going to win, and we call it looking for a way out. And Miller never once looks for a way out.
Not at all. You can see him shaking his head there. He came up and he knew that Timmy would be in amazing shape. He knew that he'd bring that wrestling style. And he survived the 3 rounds. But Timmy Cuamba, my goodness, that was a clinic as far as the grappling goes. And that will mean Team Ortiz will take the 3 points. I think it's unbelievable now. 13 points apiece. We'll see us neck and neck going into that final fight, our main event, which is up next. Desmond Green, the Predator, taking on Bianchi, the Nappy Ninja Zimmerman. Unreal stuff happening here, and you can keep up to date with all stuff. Freedom Fight Night at Freedom Fight Night on Instagram and social media. So right now we have business to deal with. The business is find out who took the decision in that fight, and for that business we need one man, Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official scorecard reads as follows. Judge Toledo scores about 30-25, Judge Green 30-27, and Judge Rodriguez scores at 30-26. All in favor of the winner by way of unanimous decision. Representing Team Tito, Twilight Timmy Cuamba.
Here with your winner, Timothy Cuamba. Phenomenal, tough fight. Showcased some excellent wrestling, man. Those doubles and mat returns, I was just saying that takedowns don't normally score for people. Your takedowns, your mat returns were damaging.
Yes, sir. It don't matter if I'm striking or wrestling. I'm always going to throw as much as possible. I can outstrike anyone, I can out-wrestle anybody. Tonight I showed all wrestling. Next fight we'll see. Maybe I'll show some striking. We'll see.
Was there a point of frustration that there was a war? He wasn't looking for any way out at any moment. I'm sure you're used to people wilting under that pressure. He wasn't wilting. Were you still looking like, hey man, what do I gotta do to get you out of here?
No, I knew coming in here he was gonna be a little mentally tough, but that's why I kept that pressure, to keep breaking him little by little. Great fight.
Your winner, Timothy Cuamba.
Shout out to Marshall Inu, my crypto sponsor, and shout out to my family that's watching at home. I love all you guys.
Great job tonight. All right, guys. So those at home, we're here on stage. You can see right now, we actually have a tie right now going into this final match. It's 13-13. First talk to Coach Ortiz. How are you feeling about now going to the final? What's going on?
I feel very confident. That was a great win. Kid showed a tremendous heart. Great takedown. Rampage stopped looking over his shoulder. But we're excited for the final. This is what it's all about. This is what a team work's all about, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome, man. And hey, Coach Jackson, we're going in. What's going through your mind?
Man, his guy didn't want no part of my guy. He just wanted to wrestle the whole time. He trains with Dewey Cooper, so I thought it was going to be a slugfest. I thought your guy was going to come out swinging. My guy be knocking people out in the first round, but he came and just wrestled him the whole time. So 13-13, I hope my heavyweight, brings it home.
All right, guys. Hey, throwing it back to Brian.
Wait.
So there we have it. Back and forth they go in the cage on the mic. And as they did in this contest, our co-main event, Timmy Cuamba putting a wrestling clinic on display here at Freedom Fight Night. Relentless pressure, continuous takedown, still had to respect the striking, the beast that Miller is, but he earned that victory, the 3 points that leave them neck and neck.